All right, good morning. We're on the record in the 53rd Circuit Court for the County of Presqu'île. We are providing public access both in the courtroom and online. We've got some hearings over Zoom at first on the morning docket. I do see some in the waiting room, so I'm going to call first from page 2, the Stoneham matter. So let me bring in Mr. Stoneham and his attorney. All right, good morning. We're up next in the case of People of the State of Michigan versus Nicholas Stoneham. It's file 20-93135FH. We have Mr. Stoneham with us on Zoom video, as well as his attorney, Mr. Pfeiffer. Mr. Radzebon, good morning. And Mr. Radzebon, the prosecutor, is with us here in the courtroom. And Mr. Pfeiffer's a reminder, we're providing public access in the courtroom and online. We're here today for a status conference, and we finally have a decision from the Michigan Supreme Court in the Betts case. It just came out last week. I'm not sure whether counsel has had a chance to review whether that has an effect on Mr. Stoneham's case or not.
I have not had a chance to review that,
Okay.
Joe.
Mr. Pfeiffer, so I suppose now we do have the decision from the Michigan Supreme Court in a case that might affect this case. My understanding of the Betts ruling was that the 2011 SORA law does constitute punishment, and therefore its application retroactively violates the ex post facto clauses, and they did not sever some provisions from others. So a lot of these cases, it's going to depend on when the triggering conviction was. So how that affects particular cases is still probably pretty complicated. So I presume that we should give you and Mr. Radzebon time to look at how the Betts case would impact this case. And if you're not in agreement, then I presume that one of you would bring a motion.
That sounds good, Your Honor. If we could have a little bit of time to see if we could figure it out between us and then address the court if necessary.
Okay. Well, at least we're able to schedule this now for a traditional docket call instead of just status conference waiting for a Supreme Court ruling. If we put this on the September 13th docket, does that give you enough time, gentlemen?
I think so, Judge.
It does, Your Honor.
Okay. So we'll schedule this then for a docket call on September 13th at well, I do see we've got you on a docket call on Pettit at 9:10 a.m., Mr. Pfeiffer.
Okay.
I could either double book this at the same time for you or schedule it at 10:30. But I could just double book that at 9:10 a.m. for you.
That would be fine, Your Honor.
Okay. And I think you'll be in person for Pettit, I'm sure, but as far as Mr. Stoneham, any preference for an in-person or Zoom hearing for that?
Judge, I have no objection if Mr. Stoneham wants to appear by Zoom.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, Mr. Pfeiffer, we're going to schedule that for a docket call on September 13th at 9:10 a.m. by Zoom. But if anybody wants to be here in person, that's A-okay as well.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, have a good day. And I'll bring in the Fisher matter now.
This case is.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
All right, looks like we've got Ms. Fisher, but Ms. Posner's audio's not connected here.
Good
There we
morning.
go. Good morning.
Hi,
Next
how are
up
you
on-
today?
Great. Next up on our docket is from page 2, People of the State of Michigan versus Brandy Fisher. It's file 21-93178. And we have Ms. Fisher with us by Zoom video. Her attorney, Ms. Posner, is with us by Zoom video. The prosecuting attorney, Mr. Radzaban's with us in the courtroom. And Ms. Posner, Ms. Fisher, I want to let you know that we're providing public access both in the open courtroom and also online on the court's YouTube channel. And we're here today for an arraignment and pretrial. Ms. Posner, has Ms. Fisher been provided with a copy of the felony information?
Yes, she has, Your Honor.
And would you like to have its allegations read?
No, we're going to waive the formal reading. She's going to stand mute, enter a plea for the moment of not guilty.
Okay, we'll enter a not guilty plea as to both charges in that information. Is a forensic center referral requested?
No,
What would be the estimated length of trial?
maybe 3 days, approximately 2 or 3 days.
I think no more than 2.
Okay,
Probably more like 2, but just to be on the safe side for the court.
okay.
And
So Ms. Posner, I could schedule this for a docket call for a plea and motion cutoff on either September 13th or September 27th. Do you have a preference?
let me take a look at my calendar. I'm sorry. Let me see. September 13th is good.
Okay. We can schedule this then September 13th at 10:30 a.m. And are you and your client, where are you, where's your office located, Ms. Posner?
I'm in Southfield, Michigan.
Okay. Any objection, Mr. Radzaban, to a Zoom appearance?
No, not at all.
Okay, so we'll schedule that for appearance by Zoom, just as we have today for you and your client then, okay?
Yes. Is your court open for some hearings?
It is, so it for many hearings, yeah. So if you do want to appear in person, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Just let us know.
It's just the leaves will be so beautiful September 13th. So we'll see.
That's right, yeah, you're welcome in the courtroom anytime you want.
Thank you.
Anything further for purposes of scheduling?
No, we'll just, I've talked to Mr. Resban. I have some information if you, well, I can talk later if he doesn't want to do a breakout room, but I have some information for him.
Okay, maybe just give him a call later. To do a breakout room with somebody in the courtroom and not in the courtroom is always a trick. We have
Oh,
to
right,
clear
he's sitting there. Yes. Okay, no, I will call him and there's some positive developments I want to go over with him.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, have a good day.
thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day. You too, Mr. Resban.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Get out. Get out.
All right, and I'll call the Splitzer from page 1. All right, good morning, Mr. Keough.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right, this is the matter of People of the State of Michigan versus Splitzer, file 21-93175. What I don't see,
My client, I believe, is in the waiting room right now.
okay, that's what I was
And
going to
believe
ask.
he might be on his sister's computer.
All right.
Her name is Susan.
That would explain, there you go, Susan Cochran, there we go. Perfect.
Right, sit down.
All right, are you Mr. Spletzer?
Yes.
All right, so we're here on People v. Spletzer, file 21-93175FH. We have Mr. Spletzer with us by Zoom video, as well as his attorney, Mr. Keogh. Oops, I renamed the wrong people here. Huh. Sorry, Mr. Keogh. So we have the defendant and his attorney present by Zoom video. And we have the prosecuting attorney here in the courtroom with us. We are providing public access both in the courtroom and online. We're here today initially, well, for an arraignment and a motion with regard to bond. For purposes of arraignment, Mr. Keogh, has Mr. Spletzer been provided with a written copy of the information?
Yes, Your Honor, we would waive the formal reading and ask the court to enter a plea of not guilty at this time.
Okay, we'll do so. Is a forensic center referral requested?
It is not.
Estimated length of trial?
1 day.
And a docket call on September 13th at 10:40.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Mr. Radzaban, preference for in-person or Zoom for that?
Judge, I'll leave that for the court. I don't have a problem if they want to.
Okay. All right, Mr. Keogh, I'm going to schedule that. Looks like Mr. Spletzer is local. I'm going to schedule that in person for September 13th at 10:40 a.m. If, although if there's something that comes up where the parties are going to simply be asking, for a continuance or something like that, certainly just let Mr. Radzaban know ahead of time and we can just have folks Zoom in, I just want to have people here in person if we're doing something substantive.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. And as to your motion for bond, Mr. Keogh, anything you want to say?
Yes, I was reviewing the motion here today, and I don't know if there's anything beyond what's been written that's been submitted to the court for the court to consider. Mr. Spletzer has been on bond for quite some time. There have been no problems on bond for him. He's also on the sober link. He's on the sober link, as I indicated, and he's also on the bond line. We believe that the bond line would be sufficient to monitor any alcohol that would be consumed by him, but considering the fact that he has been doing well on bond, my understanding is attending AA meetings and also doing some counseling while he's been on bond. And also because of some health issues that he's currently have with the tether, we would ask the court to allow that provision of bond to be rescinded and for the bond line to remain in place going forward until docket call in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keogh. Mr. Radzavan, people's position?
Your Honor, I spoke with Mr. Keogh about this last week, and quite frankly, without some sort of medical verification as to his claimed health conditions associated with that, I can't stipulate or consent to the amendment. It is a drunk driving third, Judge.
Okay. Well, and that was my question as well. The motion indicated that Mr. Spletzer is unable to use the SoberLink machine due to some respiratory issues. So as a substitute for that, he's on an alcohol tether. And now he's saying that he's got some health issues that cause a problem for the alcohol tether. So I guess he is subject to the bond line of the drug testing, which does the ETG testing. That is some measure of monitoring, granted, but for a drunk driving third, it's not what we would prefer to have. So what I'm going to do, Mr. Keogh, is I'm going to deny your motion at this time without prejudice, and you can renew it. And in fact, if you get some medical information that would support that, I would allow you to file the motion without a need for further hearing. I've heard the position of the parties. So if you submit it and waive hearing, then I would just make a decision, or you could notice it for hearing, either way.
Could I make an inquiry? I know I did talk to Mr. Ratzenbaum about this. The hearing was one day before Mr. Spletzer actually has a doctor's appointment. My understanding is he's going to see a medical professional tomorrow. And so unfortunately, it came one day after the hearing. So if we have something from the doctor, perhaps I could submit a stipulation to the prosecutor. Would the court entertain that if the prosecutor agreed to a stipulation?
I certainly would. I certainly would, you know.
As long as we had medical, as long as we had medical documentation to go along with it, of course.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, anything further then, Mr. Keough?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Radsbon?
No, nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, all right, have a good day.
Thank you very much. You can leave the meeting now, Mr. Spletzer.
That's it.
Here we go, I can remove him. All right, yeah, I think so. Mr. Vogler's matters were adjourned, so I think our next matters at 9:40 from Mr. Wright, and then 10 o'clock. All right, so we'll be in recess then until 9:40, unless you've got somebody that can go earlier, Mr. Gilbert.
I don't, Your Honor. They're
Okay.
both going to attend in person and they're going to be here about 9:45.
Okay, so we'll be in recess until 9:40.
Thank you, Your Honor.